Welcome everyone to this week's Ultimate Cosplay Podcast. I am Tock Custom, and joining is our host and or co-host Hoku Props to my left here.
Hello.
And our guest this week is Eric of Coregeek Creations. Thank you so much for being on the show this week. How are you?
I am well.
Good.
Thank you for having me.
I like how professional and that is a lot of.
It's gonna get very unprofessional very fast.
Yeah, now the stream is just gonna go down and whatever. That's fine. But
it's a roller coaster. As long as we go back up for another attempt.
Right.
I was trying to be as serious as possible.
You did a great job.
Smolder.
Do you want to take a moment to let people know who you are and why you are as amazing as you are?
Oh well, I'm amazing because I hang out with amazing people. So that's it, present company included.
I hear that.
So
Cheers.
there you go. So I'm Eric. I go by Coregeek Creations. I've been a lifelong maker. Started building stuff when I was like a kid. My dad was a general contractor, so I learned how to build things at a very young age. And been doing all kinds of different stuff over the years. For the past about 8 or 9 years, it's been cosplay and cosplay and prop related. So yeah, that's me.
Good. I'll edit that whole thing so it makes you sound really sophisticated and.
No, it's okay.
Okay, we'll just leave it. Okay, that's fine.
It's all right. There's no illusions for anybody.
Yeah, that's fine. No smoke and mirrors here. And Hoku, how are you feeling this week?
I'm feeling really good.
Good.
For transparency, my health has been a bit of a roller coaster lately, but it's doing a lot better. And I saw a bunch of specialists, and my skin's happy, and my back doesn't hurt for the first time in a long time. So
good.
All said and done, like I'm sitting down and my back doesn't hurt, and so I'm happy about that. I'm feeling good. Really good.
And that's great because I suffer from back issues too. And unless you had deal with back stuff, people don't really understand,
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So I feel great for you.
Well, I'm glad to hear that I have a fellow compatriot in the Bad Back Club.
Yeah.
I like how we're all so old that we get to talk about our health problems during a cosplay podcast.
Welcome to the grumpy old
Well, the question is it because of cosplay or is it because of being old?
Oh, it's both. I see what you're saying.
Cosplay keeps me young. So
right.
There we go.
Yeah.
But our bodies are still falling apart at the same time.
Yeah. I was going to say cosplay reminds me I'm alive every ouch at a time. Every slip, every stab, every scrape.
All of us here have cosplay related injuries, but no one can trump Hoku's right now. At least not on this particular show.
I see what you're doing there.
Good one. Good, great pun. We've covered that before, though. So actually,
it's
Eric,
a constant thing.
I am pretty sure I know what you're talking about.
In case you guys didn't know, the three of us are all really good friends, so we all know each other pretty damn well. So
I'm just so happy to see you guys.
Right, it's awesome to see you as well. And
seriously,
you look amazing. So we can just sit here and compliment each other all day. But
okay, I'm digging for more compliments. So I have lost 22 pounds. So
hey,
yeah,
I think I gained all of those because that's
what's that? Oh,
that's how much weight
did we trade?
Yeah, I think I took on all of your extra weight.
Well, yeah, but then you shaved it all off.
It went straight to my beard, and then I cut it off.
And I have to say, and even though I didn't see you in person, it was just so weird to see a photo of you without a beard. I was just like, wow, he's really an amazing, good-looking guy.
Oh, thank you. I'll take that, and I have to grow it back so people aren't going to turn the actual contest off by the time we do the show.
And let me preface that, not that you didn't look good before you shaved your beard.
Thank you.
So I don't want people to think that was like an underhanded compliment or something.
I actually feel like his beard is like barbed wire fence. It keeps the masses away from just jumping him.
Yeah.
And just
it's natural protection for his
like violently
for his species.
Or like sexually.
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Yeah. That's what it's designed for, is to keep
personal protection device
all
as
predators
well as,
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
It also was an improvised mask. Anytime you went out, you could just.
Oh, it's like having a
that's
scarf
right.
year round. What's that? A neck umbrella. Okay, let's focus on something beyond what.
I like how which king of Agmar mentioned you actually have a face.
Yeah, and apparently
I think that's a great comment. In case anybody was wondering, Tock has a face.
There's a face underneath.
don't get used to it, you guys, because
The
it's
beard.
coming back fast, as you can tell.
Yeah, no kidding.
So,
I mean,
so Eric,
your beard grows fast.
we're gonna stop talking about my face starting right now.
Okay. All right.
So, what was your first legitimate cosplay that you ever made?
So there's two parts to that answer, because the first legitimate cosplay I ever made was actually not for myself. It was for one of my daughters.
Okay.
So, and then for myself, so that was King Loki from the Avengers. And that was kind of like
Is it King Loki or is it Prince Loki? I'm not trying to be a
this particular one was the King Loki costume.
Okay.
Because he has several different versions of his costume. And this one was the King Loki one from the Avengers, I believe.
Okay.
The Avengers, yeah. And that was kind of I had done some stuff with my daughters before that, just some small props and things like they did. We got into cosplay because of them, and they had done like Dalek dresses, and I made like the little Dalek. We got a plunger and a paint roller thing, and those were the Dalek accessories. But the King Loki costume was really the thing that was like, it was sort of like, hey, this is the thing that I'm gonna use this and kind of show people what I think I can do.
Okay,
right?
Cool. And you said that was what, 8 years ago or something?
Yeah, approximately 7 or 8 years ago. And that actually kind of put me on the map as far as people following me and looking at my work. And it's actually in like Kamui Cosplays.
Oh, nice.
Her main book that you can buy on Amazon. It's in that. And
do you want to plug Kamui's books real quick for her?
Yeah, buy her books. Buy her books.
She is one of our sponsors for the show. And,
yes.
She's giving away a bunch of prizes. So.
And good friends of all of ours. And I got to visit them a couple years ago in Germany, which was amazing, by the way. They have an amazing workshop. And Chad's been there. He knows.
Yes.
Yep.
So
super cool.
I have not, but I got to judge with her during TwitchCon last year. So she's fantastic.
Let's all just go visit Germany next year.
Let's do it, because I've been wanting to go back ever since we came back.
So
I was
good.
just like,
dude, Eric, if you ever wanted to do that, I would love to travel with you. It'd be fun.
Oh, yeah.
We also need to go visit Santa.
Oh yes, yes.
We got to get
Germany
Spicy
and
out
New Zealand.
here. Well, he'll come visit us because it's easier to bring one person out here than to bring everyone to.
That's true.
New Zealand.
That's true. But
No,
I really
I'd
want to
rather
go to New Zealand.
Yeah,
me too.
Santa's actually been to my house.
Yeah.
He came here once. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been to my house too. We actually, we've actually slept in the same bed together. I'm just saying.
He was on our show a couple of weeks ago.
But that was in California,
didn't
so
mention that for some reason.
I mean, it doesn't count. When
Right.
you're in California, it doesn't count. So
how is Spicy Tie in bed,
is-
if you don't mind me asking?
he snores. It's terrible.
Oh,
I believe
man.
it.
No, I literally had no place to stay one time when we were down there because he and I kind of traveled down to BlizzCon, and the place I was staying with Beer Money. I mean, you guys know Beer Money, but the last night I wasn't able to stay at his place, so I didn't have a place to go, or maybe it was a different time. I don't know.
Here.
Anyway, he was like, Santa's
you
like,
can
well,
stay
I'm staying at my buddy's place. You can share the couch with me. So that's what we did.
That's cool.
It's kind of fun to just go to California and be a vagabond, and go from couch surf a little.
I did that for a month last year, or before COVID, I should say. God, this is awful. I'm asking legitimate like podcast questions, but then we just keep getting back to casual three friends hanging out, having a conversation about. Well,
I mean, but that's part of, what, that's what we all miss though, right?
It is.
I mean, that's what I miss about going to cons is hanging out with all the people I enjoy and looking at cool costumes and stuff.
No.
Okay, so I'll get back. So
I
King
want
Loki.
to know what your first costume was for yourself.
I did King Loki for my daughter. And then the next year, my youngest daughter was like, "Hey, I want to do Yzma and Kronk from the Emperor's New Groove, and I want you to be Kronk." You know,
That's awesome.
and yeah, and I mean, hopefully everybody knows Emperor's New Groove. If you don't, you're missing out. You need to go watch it immediately after the podcast, of course. Okay. But Yzma and Kronk are awesome. We did their lab outfits from the movie. So we had cool lab coats that my mother-in-law made for us. And that was my first costume. And we went to Emerald City Comic-Con with those, and we just got completely mobbed, like absolutely mobbed. We couldn't move for like 4 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was just like, okay, this is kind of fun. maybe we'll do this some more. So I kept making costumes for them and costumes for me. And eventually my wife got involved, and we kind of did the family cosplay thing for a couple years. But it just got really overwhelming. It was just a lot of work. So, cause I was building like essentially 3 to 4 costumes, you know, for the family for Emerald City every year for like 3 or 4 years in a row.
Right.
Got to do a lot of great panels. Chad and I were on several panels together.
Yeah. I remember that.
I mean, it's been a while. It's like the first time I ever met you.
Bjorn.
Oh, really?
That's where I met Bjorn. He asked
awesome.
us during the panel about his.
Oh yeah, that's right.
His antlers, and everyone's like, "Oh, we'll cast it." I'm like, "Dude, you should use them. Those are cool, right?"
Yeah.
And then I saw his like leather bracer, and I was like, "Dude, can you come up after the panel? I want to see that." And that's how I met him.
Yeah.
I actually, he gave me that bracer too.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, he's such an awesome dude. Such a nice guy.
Is.
So many nice people. So
yeah, I think he's planning on going back up to Seattle too.
That's the last I heard.
Is he?
He's moving back to Seattle.
I haven't heard from him in a while. So I know he was
You'll hear from him a lot once he's finished with Prince Armory. But
yeah.
But yeah, last I heard, they're going back up, and I saw him right before lockdown. We went to the Ren Fair in Houston together.
Oh, cool. I forgot that he's such a nice guy.
Yeah,
we used to live like 15 minutes from each other or something.
Oh man!
But we only ever saw each other at cons.
That was like me and Beer Money. I literally lived like 10 minutes away from his house in Long Beach.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard. We're also
busy.
Right.
You know?
It is.
Well, especially the last year and a half, it's been particularly hard for lots of other reasons, but
all kinds of crazy reasons. You know, I mean,
Eric was talking about that would be. And I've done that before. There was one con I made 6 costumes for 5 of my other friends, including myself, for one con, and that was like 3 months of work. You know.
So basically, we would block out like because Emerald City was usually in March every year, but they kind of moved it around to April and stuff. But basically, like at the Christmas was over, I would just build for 3 months straight. That's all I would do. I'd go to work, do my day job, come home, and just build. Fortunately, I have a very, very supportive and understanding wife, because it was basically like, you know, in those times where I was building stuff, she was basically a single mom. So, but she knew it was important to me and our daughters, and it was a really great time in their lives because they were teenagers, and it's just a good way for us to like connect and do something fun together. And I have nothing but, I mean, you know, there was always problems and things, you know, this is the way it goes. But I have nothing but great, you know, all those things that didn't work out or whatever, but I have nothing but great memories of hanging out with my daughters and doing con stuff and that kind of thing. So, and then through doing that, I started having people ask me, it's like, hey, do you make stuff for other people? You know? And I'm like, well, I mean, I could, I haven't really ever before, but, and then that kind of got me interested in doing like commission work and things. And so I did, so then I was building costumes for family and then doing commission props for 3 or 4 years. And, it all kind of got majorly overwhelming.
Right.
So eventually I had to back off. But I steamrolled it for a while, but you can only do so much work for so long before you just can't sustain that any longer. Yep. And I know many people that have done like very similar things, you know? So it's not like just unique to me, but that's kind of been my journey as far as.
We don't have to get into it, but it's not, cosplay is not your career. That's not your full-time job. You do have a day job, correct?
Yeah, I do.
I
do.
don't know why I asked, because I know. I'm just saying that for the sake of the.
Well, it's just for the sake of other people that maybe don't know me or
Right,
have never done any of my things.
So having a full-time job and doing like family cosplay and then getting into commission work that's an extraordinary amount of everything.
Yeah. You kind of get into this mode. I pretty much for 4 years just worked straight for 4 years.
Right.
Just that's all I did. It's like I was working on stuff in my shop, and when I wasn't at work, and doing many cons as I could. And then I did other things like, for a while I started a podcast with Jackie Craft, and we had Craft and Geek podcast for a while. Yep. And just kind of really got into the whole, like, I don't know, scene, I guess. Is that the culture, really. Cause I've been told I'm a pretty positive person, and, and Jackie's like super upbeat. I always wanted to do a podcast, and so we started doing that and just kind of being, I don't know, cheerleaders for the group, the family of cosplay or something. Yeah. So, but we got to do a lot of cool things. Like we ended up going
to fit in with us. It's the exact same kind of motivation where it's like, how do we just support everybody around us? And it's so fun, and it's so rewarding to watch the growth,
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And, and the thing is, it's like, there's, just like with any hobby, you can find drama if you really want. And my goal was always like to stay away from drama and just be positive and,
right.
And also help people, because, when I first started doing stuff, there wasn't nearly as many resources, Yep. I mean, there was things, out there, like, some YouTube but it's not like it is now, where you can basically choose anything and go, okay, I'm going to YouTube this, and you'll get like 5 tutorials for how to do whatever,
at least. Yeah.
I mean, when I started, I was still mostly relying on, people that were documenting things through blogging, and not necessarily as much YouTube resources and stuff
like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I got, and I live really close to Bill Duran. Well, I mean, close enough. We're only like 40 minutes away from each other, and we ended up becoming friends and got to spend a lot of time with him and learning about like his journey. I was going from being just a cosplayer to a full-time maker to a full-time content creator, and it was really cool to kind of have him as a mentor in a way, because he was always really open with me about, his behind the scenes things, because I've always had more of a, I don't know, kind of a business mind too, when it comes to things. And for a while, I kind of considered trying to make it a full-time thing. And I think that's why I pushed so hard, but just realized that it wasn't the right time with family. And, I have a mortgage too. So it's like,
that makes sense.
I mean, mortgages and health insurance.
Yep.
Sometimes trump everything else, Yeah. So
what
when you were
go ahead, Chad, please.
Well, I was going to ask, so when you were doing it more along the lines of what you would consider kind of full time, or at least pushing towards that, was there any one kind of thing that you were doing that you think could have worked better than other things? Like, do you have any suggestions for people that were or are in your position during that time and want to make the leap to go from doing it part-time to full-time? You said you're business minded, so do you have any major suggestions for people? There's a lot of people in that position,
Yeah, I know. And a lot of people really want to turn, it's like, the whole thing of like, find your passion, and then you never really work. Right. Which I don't think is really true, but because anybody I know that's turned this into a career, they've worked their asses off.
I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like, you may not feel like you're a 9-to-5 job, but I don't know anybody that hasn't just given their heart, soul, and mind to success, whether that's Bill Duran or, Benny and Svetlana from Kamui Cosplay, or any of those other friends that we have that have, Kimpatsu, same thing. Yeah, sure. we know all of them, and they've all been able to do it, but they hustle, man. You got to hustle.
Oh yeah.
And the thing is, it's like I had the hustle, but then I realized it was taking a toll on me physically and taking a toll on my family. You know, I mean, if I was single and 20 years younger, it might have worked. You know, I might have been able to break out and carve my own way and do my own thing, but I just had too many responsibilities otherwise and needed to refocus. So that's why I kind of stepped back for a while, and you know, and I really haven't like made a costume in probably like 2 years. So
Sure.
I mean, and my daughters, you know, their ideas about things changed, and you know, they kind of become their own people.
Yeah.
And so they kind of backed off a bit too, and they were kind of tired of going to cons and things. So, but advice would be if it can happen, but you have to find something that can sustain.
What, it has to be a sustainable business model where you're going to be able to support yourself and and you know, and like Bill, I mean, I've heard him say many times, it's like, you know, he quit his job and just thought, I'm just gonna make costumes for people, and then he realized right away that it was just not sustainable.
Right.
You know, and he'd be the first to tell you, and Kamui would do the same thing. It's like, you know, one of the things that they both capitalized on was books. Right. They were two of the pioneers as far as I'm concerned in our circle of people that really capitalized on that. And you know what? I mean, books are amazing because especially ebooks, because once you have it done, it replicates itself literally.
Right.
You know, copy paste. I mean,
Right.
You know, and yeah, they've both branched out into other things, but I know that, you know, for both of them, and, you know, that's why Kamui has such a high value on her Buy My Book stuff, you know, is because those are sustainable products, and once you make them, they're there, you know? So you really have to have something. You can't just, I wish more people could just, you know, just quit their day job and make cool props. I mean, I'd love to quit my day job and just make cool props for people. I mean, that's like a dream job for me.
Yeah.
But it's so much work. I mean, that's the thing.
Bill was the guy that told me, because a lot of people met me through my Twitch channel when I was doing a lot of commissions for people through Twitch or whatever. And when I first met Bill, he knew who I was, and he said, hey, you need to stop taking commissions. You need to start teaching people, writing books, doing videos, you know, doing tutorials, judging, competing, doing panels, whatever. And it took me years to get to that, to actually take that advice, but that became sustainable for me. You know, doing commissions. Now, I wasn't getting like big, you know, corporate, you know, video game company type commissions or anything like that. That's kind of a different story. If you're getting like, you know, commissions from Nintendo and things like that, that can pay the bills for sure. But you've got to put
it can.
a lot of years of work to get to that point.
That's really, that's where I fit.
Right.
So much of my work over the last, I would say 3 years now, has very much transitioned away. I can't remember the last time I did a cosplay or a prop or a costume for like an individual person. Most of all my jobs over the last couple of years have been either 3D modeling work for people, or it's been work for industry. And it is sustainable. It's not as fun. Sometimes I think that depends on the person.
Right.
I think that's why Harrison does so well with it, is that's exactly what he wants to do.
Yep.
But really if I had to describe cosplay as a business, it's actually less about the production and fabrication, really, and more about the communication. So much of what makes cosplay, like when somebody wants to do cosplay for a living, you're not actually really selling a product, you're selling a communication, almost an entire back and forth process. And I think that's something that a lot of people maybe should consider when they're starting to think about what route they want to go down, is how are their communication skills first and foremost, but also how comfortable are they with that? Because it's so hard to maintain. It's something I struggle with, is the communication. constantly updating social media, doing all that different process, it's difficult. So yeah, it's interesting though, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And, like one thing I did was, I really, I wanted my stuff to be seen. And so, like let's take Instagram, for example. I actually went almost 3.5 years where I posted something on Instagram every single day.
Wow.
Every single day. I didn't miss a day. Right.
I could not do that. Yeah.
You, my sir, my dude.
But the thing was, is, and Instagram's changed a lot since then, because this was several years ago.
Sure.
But the majority of that following I got was because of that consistency. And I found that I had to be very consistent and very deliberate in the things that I was doing so that people could see my work. Because what I did want to do was I wanted to get those corporate commissions or larger commissions. I was fine with building stuff for individuals, but I also wanted other places, mostly corporate, to see my stuff and hire me because they pay well.
Yeah.
And in some ways it worked and in some ways it didn't.
Okay.
And the thing is, I've had a lot more friends that have been more successful at it. Chad being one, Harrison, and I mentioned, Jackie earlier, she was really great at that too. She was, before she kind of backed off, she was bringing in, corporate work, for like Nintendo and
Blizzard and
and so some of that's connections, some of it's just the right place at the right time, some of it's
personality,
and a lot of it's location too.
A lot of it's location. Yeah. So that's, so that was kind of like, but my thing was, it's like, I'm in Seattle and, I don't really have much of a doubt that if I wanted to move at some point, had actually moved to LA or something and got more involved there, probably could have made things work, but I just didn't want to move to LA,
Right.
And
not then, at least. You're welcome anytime you want, man.
Hey, you're going to retire at some point, right?
From my current job?
Yeah.
I only have about 4 years before I get to, because my occupation, you get to retire kind of early. So we'll see. I don't know.
Okay.
I keep threatening Sanit that I'm just going to move to New Zealand. So
he'd be the happiest person in the world.
He's been buttering up Weta for me.
Yep. I'm sure they would be happy to have you.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's funny that when I was taking like just kind of individual commissions for just people, kind of like we were talking about, that's when I was, and I don't know if you guys can relate to this or not, but that's when I was like really learning a lot, which was interesting because it was almost like I was being paid or commissioned to learn how to make something and then make it for them.
Yeah.
And then as I got better at things, then I phased out of commissions because then I could teach people and share my knowledge with other people. So that's kind of how my progression has been in the community of, prop making, sewing, education, whatever. So I don't know if any of you can relate to that at all.
No, I did that exact thing. It's like, and when I was doing individual commissions, and I would open it up, I'd only do a very limited amount every year, and I'd be like, okay, I'm open for commissions. Send me what you send me what you want, and I would look through the things, and I would deliberately choose things that I maybe didn't necessarily know how to make, right? Because I didn't know any better to not do that. So on one hand, it worked out really well because it caused me to, it's like trial by fire learning, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's paying you money up front, because when I did commissions, it's like you pay me up 50% up front, 50% is due when it's done. And you have that, like, it's trial by fire. It's like, you have to make this thing, you have to make it work. Maybe I've never done X, Y, or Z before, but I'm going to figure it out,
Right.
And so on one hand, I was able to figure things out, because a lot of times just building is just troubleshooting more than anything. And I think that's one of my gifts as far as just my personality is. But on the other hand, it's like, what I didn't realize was just how horribly bad that is for you to always have like, always be on the edge, right? Because you're like, okay, I'm in step 25. I have 35 steps to go. I've already dedicated 2.5 weeks to this thing. And if I screw up step 25, I'm screwed. I can't redo this, because I have a deadline and I told this person this thing's going to be done and it's going to look great and you're going to get exactly what you want. And I didn't realize the toll of having that kind of deadline, like all the time, what it was. It was hard on me. And it wasn't until I stopped doing that when I realized, holy crap, life's really nice without deadlines.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then my wife's like, well, why are you doing that to yourself? What you don't have to do this. It's a quasi, I guess I'm a semi-pro at that point. Right. But it was a quasi hobby. And I was like, you know what, you're right. I don't have to do this. And then that's when I stopped, and it was just like, and I still to this day, cause my website's still up and stuff and people can contact me, and I still get quite a few commission requests, and I'm always just like, hey, talk to Chad at Hoku Props.
Wait, so it's you?
He's probably
I send them to you.
I
send them to you. I send them to you, to Garrett at Garrett at No One's Designs, and to Steven Solo Roboto Steven.
Yeah.
Those are the three I usually like, hey, talk to these guys.
Yeah.
They'll build your great stuff.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. It's, oh gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was how did we start this? What was the question you were asking?
I don't remember.
Trial by fire.
Trial by fire.
Mission taking.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so but that's how I learned. And that's how I learned all these different processes.
Right.
That's how I learned to like mold and cast things, and how I learned to use an airbrush and all these different things. And I just put myself in a place where I couldn't not learn it,
Right.
And which is great because you learn stuff. And you also learn how to not do stuff, and but anyway, yes, to answer your question, that's exactly what I did. But it takes its toll on your brain after a while, unless you're just one of those kind of people that you just love to be under the gun. And I've known a few people like that, right. where they're happiest when it's like the pressure's on, and that's when they completely excel. Do
you know what's funny is that is a very common trait with people that suffer from ADHD.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's because they lack they lack kind of a consistent release of dopamine. I have ADHD, so I understand how this works, right?
Gotcha.
So because there is a lack of dopamine being produced on a consistent basis, one of the things that causes a large expression of dopamine is stress, right? So cosplay crunch, that kind of time, sex does it. There's a few other things that are very high intensity, but if you ever see somebody who strives under very, very high pressure environments, next time ask if they have ADHD, or think about it to yourself.
That's interesting.
Like, I bet you that person's got ADHD. It's kind of a superpower, really. A lot of people look down on ADHD, but instead it's just people's brain working differently.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I have no doubt.
So what is your last couple of, I know, kind of COVID excluded. You said you hadn't made a costume in a couple of years, but I've still seen you at cons. Whether you're in costume or not doesn't matter. You're still very much a part of the community. So what?
I love going to cons. Oh, yeah. I love meeting people. It's just, and I love seeing what other people do. That's just, to me, that's just exciting because you have like, I just think that costumers, cosplayers are some of the most just talented people in the world because they do everything. You don't have and most people, some people have a team or whatever, but for the most part, it's like one or two people creating all this amazing stuff, and they do it all. They do the patterning, they do the construction, they do the finishing, they do the paint work, they do the sewing. I mean, it's like so many skills all in one. Yeah. To me, it's almost like, it's for artists, I'm a movie guy. I love movies. And I feel like it's really the only thing that's as close to movie making as you can get without being like a movie maker, because, doing movies, you have to like, there's so many facets of art that go into making a movie. And I feel like costuming is very similar in that way, where there's just so many facets and you have to learn and absorb so many things. And to me, cosplayers are just like, they're just outstanding in their artistry and the way they look at things and the way they create things. And I love being around those kind of people. It's like you get, cause I go to a con and you come home and you want to make like 50 different things all at once. You just, and then I sit and watch a few TV shows. I'm like, yeah, just Netflix is fine. So.
Oh, that's funny.
You were talking before the podcast started that your kids are kind of growing up and moving out and doing their own thing, and you're going to have more free time, and it's going to be quieter. And what are you going to do to fill that time? Have you thought about that at all?
Well, yeah, I've kind of already started doing something else besides props and stuff. I recently got into playing guitar. Oh, because I've had I played a little bit when I was in high school, but that was like 30 years ago. But it's like one of those things where learning an instrument, it just takes time, and when you're raising a family, you don't have time for that kind of stuff. So I've recently started playing guitar more, and then last summer, my oldest, Caitlin, who goes by Splorpo, she's on Instagram and she has a pretty big TikTok following. Anyway, sorry, my chair's sinking, so I gotta jack it up.
I was going to
here.
say something, but I wasn't going to interrupt anything you were saying.
I'm surprised.
Oh, okay.
I'm surprised you're sitting on a chair, considering you're like 12 feet tall. I just figured you're sitting on like.
I'm not that tall.
I'm
not that tall.
A large man.
Eric is one of the few people that can help me into Lionheart, and
without a stool. Yeah.
Literally, if I fell in Lionheart, Eric could have just grabbed me from like my backpack strap, right?
Wow. Yes.
Like, kid, and, don't fall now.
Everybody thinks I'm a giant now.
I think we're like the same.
So
yeah. Anyway, go on.
I think we're stuff. Oh yeah. Anyway, so last year so my daughter has this fascination with a Dr. Seuss story that right now I can't think of the name of it. The guy with the trees. The Lorax.
Oh, right.
So she wanted to do this. She did this costume of the Onceler, and in the movie version, there's like 10 seconds in the movie where he has this crazy double V, double neck guitar, right? So she's like, Dad, can you help me make this prop? I'm like, cool, let's make this prop, because I've never done like a guitar before. I mean, that'd be awesome, right? So, somebody in the chat's like, wait, you're related to Splorpo? That's hilarious.
That's really fun. I saw that too.
Yeah, she's my daughter.
Not just related, but he's her dad. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So anyway, I helped her we made this really cool double neck flying V together. And as I'm making this thing, I'm like, I feel like this. I mean, I've never made a guitar. I don't know what it's like. I made a prop,
like it played for real. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with a few modifications, it could. But as we were building it, as we were building it, I basically was like, I bet I could make a real guitar. So during this last winter, I just did a bunch of research like I normally do for building stuff, and I built basically a version of a Fender Telecaster. Yeah. And I was like, and it brought me back to my wood, because really my roots go back to woodworking, and that's really where the majority of my skill came from. And I applied woodworking to prop making and use a lot of those same things. And so, because a lot of people are like, wow, you've only made props for like 2 years. How come your props are so good? And I'm like, well, I've been building things with my hands for like 25 years,
Yeah.
And so it was really nice to get back to this, like more of a woodworking project and actually create something that was also real. I mean, it's pretty cool to make a musical instrument. Mm-hmm. So now I'm kind of on a tear of, I have my next two already planned, and
that's cool.
We'll see. We'll see. So
are you planning on branching into doing acoustic guitars at any point, or are you going to stick with the electric?
I think eventually, yeah, I would really like
Yeah.
to create an acoustic guitar because that's like, but there's a lot of skill involved there. So,
Yep.
so I started with a solid
forming and wood and all that.
yeah.
I started with
I started with a solid body electric, which is like the basic easiest thing you can build. And my next one is a semi hollow. And then I plan on doing a full hollow body electric. And then if that goes well, I might attempt an acoustic. So,
That's awesome.
it's a long process kind of a thing. It's not something that's just going to happen overnight, just like me relearning how to play guitar. So yeah, that's kind of been my focus lately, and mostly just because, it's like I've made lots of props and done cool costumes and stuff, and it's fun. I still enjoy it, but for now, it's just been really nice to just get back into my shop and just kind of build, use my hands and just build and not worry about 3D printers and all these other things, and it's just like, and just kind of just zone out and just build something cool,
I think that's
So
I
you
think,
can-
I think we all
valuable.
need that, really.
Yeah.
We all really need that.
Yeah, just kind of rewire my brain a little bit,
Yeah.
right? And in all honesty, a lot of this came from, I've had a lot of like deaths in my family the past 2 years, without like bringing down the crowd here.
Right.
But I think I just had like a thing about 6 months ago where I was just like, you know what? I'm tired of things. I just realized that at some point, if I don't just do something that I've always wanted to do, I may run out of time, and it's like, and it's kind of like relearning to play guitar was always like, well, someday, but you have enough people around you die, and you're like, I may never get someday, and so that was kind of a thing where it's just like, you know what? I'm tired of saying someday. I'm just going to make this happen. So I downloaded a guitar app and started learning to play guitar. And I'm pretty sure I suck pretty bad, but I'm having a good time. So
Yeah, I think I called you like 2 hours before this podcast, and I was like, "Hey, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
You were like, "I'm playing guitar," and I was like, "Oh, you should play some songs during the podcast." And you were like, "No,"
and I'm like, no,
that's not happening. Yeah. So,
No.
but still, that's pretty amazing, and just from a maker standpoint, because there's a lot of people watching this that are
yeah,
cosplayers, prop makers, and I love seeing anyone who's a maker, because like all of us are artists, right? And
yeah,
as a kid, I did a lot of like just doodles and then traditional art and whatever. But when I started making products or items, something I could use, practical art, that I became very addicted to that because it was something I could make it and wear it, use it. And that's what you're talking about right now with kind of letting that evolve into an instrument or a tool or something that you can actively use, which is incredible.
yeah. It's been fun, and I've just enjoyed building. My dad's kind of into guitars in that way, and it's been interesting because he and I get along really well, but I think there's always just kind of been a barrier with like my prop and costuming work. Like he thinks it's cool, but he just doesn't quite understand like why, grown men, I mean, I'm almost 50 years old, want to run around a convention center in a weird costume, and not that he's like judgmental of it or something, but I just don't think he's ever really got it,
Right.
like it really made sense to him. And I've showed him a lot of the things I've made, and he's always like, hey, that's pretty neat. I'm like, come on, dude, I spent a month building this thing. It's amazing.
Right.
And you're just going to give me, oh, that's neat, But I take 2 weeks and I build a guitar, and he's just like, holy cow, that's the most amazing thing I've ever seen, and it was just like, boom. It was like an avenue into his life because
That's funny.
he's always been into music, and he played guitar when he was younger and stuff, and kind of got away from it too. And so it's like, and so in some ways it's been nice to kind of have him kind of see me as a different person in that way, because it was like before he was kind of impressed by the stuff I made, but it never really kind of spoke to him. And then I literally talked to him like 4 hours when I sent him a photo, and he called me. He's like, what, how did you do this?
What a cool feeling, though. Like, especially after like how many decades of you making stuff, and then you finally make something that he's excited about.
Yeah, and it was totally unexpected for me too, because I was just like, okay, I mean, I knew he loved music and things, but for some reason it just really, really spoke to him. So my goal is for that. I'm going to get this semi hollow body done first, and then when I build the hollow body, I'm going to build that for him. I'm going to build that guitar and give it to him.
Cool. That's awesome.
So,
Yeah.
I think that he would just think that's the coolest thing in the world. So,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, even when you're almost 50, you never not kind of crave acceptance from your parents,
Yeah.
It's weird because but because I'm a parent myself,
Right.
but yeah, so that was like an unexpected like side benefit of kind of taking on guitar building and stuff. So, but yeah. So that's what I'm up to lately. I'll still do I'll still do some costumes and stuff. For me, I just really need, I was talking about deadlines before.
Right.
It's just like, I have learned that if I don't have a deadline, I'm just not going to get something done,
Well,
so if there's no con, if I'm not pushing for a con,
Right.
it's just not going to get done,
That works really well for if you're taking commissions or if you're a competitive cosplayer, because there's always a deadline. You have to learn certain skills and execute them before the deadline.
Yeah. Yeah. And I never really got into doing, like being part of contests, like entering contests. For some reason, it just never appealed to me for whatever reason. I think the people that build for contests are amazing because that just adds to so much more complexity of what you're doing,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have guys like us looking at your work going,
Hold on, before we get to that, because I want to talk specifically about competition type stuff. I want to know if Hoku had any other kind of introductory level, like, let's get to know Eric questions. Do you have any more of those?
Are we still just in the intro?
Oh,
here?
yeah, this is all, we're just profiling the hell out of you right now. But
No, I think we're in a really good place
Okay,
to
cool.
continue on.
Uh,
Nothing on this side. I've been having fun just talking.
Good.
So
yeah.
Yeah, me too.
lead us on, a great leader. Oh, Captain, my captain.
I'm taking the lead tonight. But so last year was our first Ultimate Cosplay podcast, and what we did was we had a bunch of great judges, and we filled up really fast, and we really wanted Eric to be a judge, but we didn't have room on camera, so we asked him to be an honorary judge. So him and Vulpin Props were our two honorary judges last year. And how was that experience for you last year?
Oh man, it was like one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Because there were so many entries.
Oh, I thought you were being sarcastic, but you're being...
No, it was just like, holy crap. I wasn't, okay, here's the folder. Look through these 300 entries, right?
And pick your
favorite.
Yep.
And it's like,
Yeah.
I can't even pick 10,
Yeah.
it was just like, I had to just like narrow. It took forever because, I knew people were so excited about it. And I was just so excited that people were excited about it. But then you have to go through all this and you're just like, holy crap. And there's like, every single thing was so good. And you're like,
Yeah.
I can't compare these things together. It just doesn't, you can't, something that's like some completely amazing, sewn costume against this completely amazing, like all foam armor. And they're both amazing. And you're just like, I can't compare these two. Let's just give everybody an award, please.
Oh man.
I heard a lot of the judges say that last year. And you didn't even have to do scoring or anything.
I know, that was the thing. I was just like, and then I was like, and I was like absolutely happy that I didn't actually have to score anybody. I was like, cool. I just get to look through here and go, that's awesome. That gets my Judge's Choice Award. I didn't have to do any scoring.
You want to tell people what you made for your Judge's Choice Award last year?
Oh, so as part of my building and commissioning and things like that, a couple years ago, I made the Sword of Athena from the Zack Snyder, Justice League and movies.
The newer Wonder Woman.
Not to be confused with the God Killer sword, which is the one that she uses and then gets destroyed in the first movie, the first Wonder Woman movie. Anyway, Sword of Athena, did it all by hand. It was all clay, hand sculpted and everything. And that's a project that I just took on as a personal thing. I just was like, hey, I think I can make this. I want to try to make this. And I sculpted it all and I made it. And I was like, okay, I think I can sell these. And, and then I got tired of making swords. Let's just put it that way. But I have the mold, right? And you're like, hey, just make something for your Judge's Choice Award. Yeah. So I was like, well, people really like the Sword of Athena, and I think it's pretty cool. So I casted one of the Sword of Athenas, and then I have the paint from Imperial Surface that's used on the Mandalorian's armor.
Oh, what is that? It's called Illuma.
It's called Illuma Luster.
Illuma Luster. That's
shout out to Imperial Surface, because Sam there is a really awesome dude, and cool. He sent me a couple quarts of it, which is like the crap's expensive. Okay,
it's I mean it's really not expensive. Yeah.
I'm saying crap as in like general stuff, not
product.
It's crap. Yeah. Okay, the product. And until you use it, you don't even understand how awesome that stuff is. You have to see it in person to really understand that paint. Yep. There's literally nothing like it. And so I was like, hey, you know what? Man, I bet that sword would look really good in Beskar steel, basically. So I did a little mash and painted one of my Wonder Woman Swords of Athena in the Illuma Luster, which is the paint they use on the show. As I know people that work on the show, yep. And the Mandalorian's chrome, basically.
So you made kind of a limited edition, one of a kind, full chrome.
It's the only one like it.
Yeah.
It's the only one like it until I decide that I want to make more of them. But I just, that's work.
To put it in perspective for everybody that's watching, an 8-ounce like container of Illuma Luster is $150 US.
Yeah, I think a quart was like what, $800 or something like that.
I think it's a $450 a quart or something.
Okay, that's right. I will say though, the caveat is you really don't need a lot. Of it.
No, you don't. Yeah. You don't. And so in fact, it's one of
goes a long way if you're using it right.
You airbrush with it, or how are you applying it?
I've done both HVLP and airbrush with it, just depending on the size of the project and stuff. Yeah. So it's just like in the way that it's just like any other chrome. Is what's really more important is the base than the actual Illuma Luster and or whatever chrome you're spraying. Yeah. So and because I kind of became a chrome guy for a while, and you just. Chromes are all about the base. It doesn't matter which brand you're using. If your base isn't ready, it's not going to look right, So, but anyway, and it doesn't take much. Really, it's all about getting the base right and having your base color down and having that look perfect, because any imperfections, it doesn't hide anything. Chromes, in fact, show you all the things that you missed.
Right.
Yeah, I like to describe it almost as if the chroming process, all you're doing is tinting the high gloss black.
Yeah, basically.
To give you this visible aesthetic of it being silver, but it's really just the high gloss black that you're seeing the reflectivity off of.
Yeah. So, it's really just a trick of our eye, right? When it comes down to chrome.
You can easily use way too much, and that dulls the sheen.
Yep. Depending on what kind of sheen you're looking for, if you overdo it, then you can bring down the sheen and it doesn't look as, you don't get the mirror effect as much. Yeah, it can. It's somewhat tricky stuff. I mean, most of the chromes are though. Anyway,
I got that base stuff that Createch sent me.
The Quicksilver.
The Quicksilver,
the Quicksilver
same process.
Chrome, but also the base that goes underneath it, which I've yet to even play with because I've been too busy organizing this lovely contest that we're doing. And actually, I had a follow-up question that was contest related, but I need to use the restroom.
Go.
And I kind of want to make some more coffee. So if you guys want to keep,
do it,
nerd raging about chrome and or paint, you guys are both like pro level.
I'll take a potty break.
Chad's
3-minute break.
Chad's way more of a
Well, we're not going to leave the guest here by himself. So
I'm fine. I'm good.
Hoku, go.
Okay,
go.
fine. I'll wait here. Go potty.
Okay, I'll be right back.
I'll just look at the chat.
Oh no,
Hi, Chad.
Chad's going to
Have
hang
you
out with
used
you.
Quicksilver Chrome much?
Createch sent me some, and it's sitting in my shop, and I haven't had a project for it.
Yeah.
So
You
I
know,
did use.
I like it. I like it
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've had just as good results using the Quicksilver Chrome because it's a water-based system, right?
Yeah.
As I have off of any of the lacquer or the urethane systems out there.
That's promising. That's very promising.
And the other thing that's nifty about it, though, is you can seal it with Createx's like gloss clear, for example.
Yeah.
You can actually seal the metallized surface without dulling it. It doesn't screw up the surface at all.
Yeah, and
that
that's
bleeding
like
issue so much, you know.
Yeah, and that's huge, right? Being able to seal without knocking it back at all.
What clear coats do you typically use? Like, do you have a brand that you prefer?
You know, I haven't delved into like 2K clear coats at all. And that was kind of like my next step of things. And then I just kind of got out of doing finishes, you know?
Yeah.
So, but up until then, like whenever I've done, cause like when I did the Wonder Woman sword, I just used, aqua gloss on that. And aqua gloss goes over Alumoluster pretty well. I mean, there's just like a really, really, really slight difference, you know, but it's so minor that that's kind of been my go-to as far as sealing metallics. Sure. It seems to be like, you know, I have a YouTube video too where I tested a bunch of when I want to say carbon, but that's not right. When I did my helmet with graphite, that's the word I'm looking for.
Oh yeah.
And I kind of shared the graphite powder thing, and then I kind of went around and I did some tests over graphite powder, and it's kind of similar to doing chrome finishes. So
it just seems to bleed no matter what I've ever done. You get
the
issue.
Yeah. That stinks.
Yeah.
But you know, the thing is though, it's like and that's the thing, like the perfectionism in me, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, it's so hard because there's so many variables, right? When it comes to spray, even just down to the type of sprayer you're using, to the type of filter system you're using, to, you know, all these different things.
I still have not had a chance to use that little Iwata gun that I told you about.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so excited to use it, but I haven't had a job that's required it.
Yeah.
Because, stuff has gotten postponed because of COVID or, so the project that I bought it for example, it's just been sitting there. But when you go to test out 2K clear coats, man, check out House of Color Clear. Think about it. It's like you can get urethane color from wherever, right? They're all very comparable. It's the clear coat that really
makes the difference.
Is going to make it pop or just, fail you miserably, right?
Yeah.
So I know for a long time I was using House of Color they call it Rocket Clear.
Yeah.
The 30-minute full cure.
Oh, wow. Yeah. See, and that's the thing I love about automotive stuff. It's just like,
we're talking, you can wet sand it after 30 minutes.
That's just amazing.
It's nuts. It's nuts. But if it freezes up in your gun, you're screwed.
Well, I was going to say, that's the problem is you can't let it sit in your gun or anything though, because you gotta move. You gotta really work, Yep. So, that kind of changed. Being able to do HVLP and then even just moving to 2K primer was like,
what primer do you use?
I usually just use, what have I been using? I order it off Amazon. There's only a couple different. Hello?
I'm still here. My camera
just
pooped out for a second. So just don't worry about it. Keep talking.
I'll do this. But now Hoku's doing something important. So,
neener.
And actually, Hoku, I know you had to use potty. So if you want to do that soon, you can do that now. But
let's do it. I'll be right back.
All right. So anyway, we were talking about, and I know you could talk about like everything, paint and airbrush and primer and clear coat and all that, literally all night.
Oh yeah, we could have a.
But that's one of the reasons people, including myself, admire you as an artist so much. But that's also why I was so excited to invite you to be one of the judges last year. And then when I was talking to Hoku around Christmas saying, hey, should we do another show? We reached out to a bunch of people, including you. And I asked you if you wanted to be another honorary judge. And I hope you don't mind me sharing this, but do you remember what you said to me?
Did I say, why do I have to be an honorary judge?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
You said something like, we're not calling people honorary judges this year.
Yeah,
we're just, everyone's
whatever.
a judge. So you're a judge. You're equal to every other judge. You will be scoring and doing full judging.
Oh wait, I have to score. I didn't sign up for scoring.
It's in your contract that I wrote, by the way. No. By the way, my boss Tony from TNT is saying hi to you.
Oh yes, I keep wanting to interject and say hey TNT.
Yeah.
Tony.
I think she told me you were our second customer ever.
Second TNT customer ever.
So cheers to TNT.
And maybe even like the first maker that they sent free foam to.
That could be. You could have been.
It might be. One
of our first partners, if not first partner.
I was a trailblazer in the getting free materials gig.
So big love to Tony for that. So yeah, what you said to me this year was, man, I was really hoping you would ask me to be an on-camera judge, and I felt awful. And this was back when we were trying to balance, like gender equality, people of color, people from different countries, people of different kind of creative expertise between needlework and foam and all this stuff. So I felt so bad that you weren't on. So what we decided, and people will learn this as the show happens, I asked Eric if he would be our virtual host. So he's going to be, like, I'm the host of the show, but Eric is going to be our virtual host. So when we get to cut to, introducing the needlework category, you're going to get to see some kind of interesting green screen video of Eric introducing all of the different categories and things like that. So this is actually going to be my co-host during the show.
Please don't sell it as interesting. It may not be interesting.
You're
Who knows?
hilarious though.
I still don't know what I'm supposed to do.
I just want you to do some like Shia LaBeouf style, like flexing into the camera and saying like, "Let's do it." Here comes armor. Or whatever.
All right.
But yeah,
okay.
You have a green screen, right?
No.
Well, I'll mail you one, and then
I'm low budget here.
Okay, whatever. We'll make something work. But anyway,
I have green socks. Does that count?
Wait, say that again.
I said I have green socks. Does that help?
It'll make it look like you're floating, I suppose. If
perfect.
If you do it that way. But so we have already announced that we're going to do one next year. So actually, while we're on the topic, if I were to ask you right now if you wanted to be a live judge for next year's show, what would you say?
Well, I mean, I'll have my people contact your people, and we can work something out.
I guess that's some kind of mild interest. That's some kind of shitty.
I would be honored. Okay. Honored.
I would,
but you have to play,
but not honorary. Honored, but not honorary.
You have to serenade us though during the intermission.
Oh yeah, that's
do.
right.
You're gonna have a 5-minute concert.
Guitar.
No. You've got a year to practice. I'll play the ukulele. Chris can play the accordion.
I'll play the drums.
Oh, there we go.
But no, I would love to see you on as a live judge for the 2020.
No, I would love to do it. Okay. I'm just messing
Good.
with you. So I gotta mess with you.
Yeah, apparently I can't take it. I remember the first time I met you was at Dragon Con, and I was standing next to you. I think I was wearing my Assassin's Creed Ezio, and I was like dressed as an assassin, double fisting 2 large coffees, because that's what I do at cons, and which is totally out of place to see, an assassin holding 2 big Starbucks cups.
Yeah.
I'm standing next to Eric. I didn't recognize you at all. And you just looked at me and you were just like, hey, Tock. And I was like, hi, who are you? And you said, I'm Coregeek Creations. And I recognized your name from Twitch.
Yeah, because I used to hang out on your Twitch all the time.
Yeah.
But I didn't know, and I just freaked out. And I was like, holy shit, you're the Coregeek. And then I looked you up, and I was like, because I didn't know. I wasn't part of the whole cosplay scene until kind of later, and I just fell into this amazing group of people. And I have to say, I literally fell in love with you that day, because we ended up talking for quite a while, and I just realized how like caring and thoughtful and positive of a person you are. You made a really powerful and positive first impression on me, which
well, that means a lot to me.
Oh,
I really appreciate that. So
I'm sure everyone has a how I met Eric story. I'm kind of curious what Hoku's story is. Do you even remember? Has it been too long?
It was at Emerald City Comic Con.
Yeah.
And we were, I think we were at Bill Duran's house, and it was my birthday, ironically enough, the night we all hung out at Bill's house.
Yeah.
And so like I had a beer and we just all talked in the weird underground cave of Punisher props.
In the basement.
The very low ceiling shop.
While Buddha Cat was sitting there in his rotundness going meow.
So that was your guys' first meeting.
Good times.
Yeah, we had that panel
with Bill.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was actually at the panel though.
I think, yeah. I mean, we had some interfacing online before that.
Yeah, we had
I knew, it's like I knew who you were, but I don't think we actually.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't even know if we got introduced to each other before the panel started.
No, we were just on the panel, and it was just
because
like,
we just sat down and started talking on the panel. Yeah. Hey, how's it going, buddy?
You know what?
Chad,
that happens so much, though.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, I think that's one thing that I really admire about like the prop maker kind of group we have in the cosplay community is there is so much mutual respect for one another. That's something I've always felt. You know, there was always a significant camaraderie, and I never felt like there was much judgment, if any at all.
No,
it was always just really exciting to see what everyone else was doing, and everyone was growing, and it was like, oh man, you know, this is
that's the thing.
It was so good. It still is, you know.
No, yeah, and it was always like, hey, you know, one thing I always really appreciated, especially with, you know, all the people that we know, is I nobody ever, like when I had a question, they never would be like, oh well, you know, and they would be like, oh yeah, totally, here, this is how you do this, you know,
right?
And it was just like that like fundamental sharing of information has, I mean, it's sustained me in this hobby, right? Sure. Because if it wasn't for all those people willing to share things, I wouldn't know how to do any of the things I've done. Yeah, I wouldn't, because I've learned everything from other people putting stuff out there. Yeah, you know,
I learned whether how to airbrush because of you.
Yes.
And I'm very happy about that. And you and I had been friends for a while, but it just made it that much more comfortable for me to learn from you through your YouTube videos, which, by the way, Coregeek does have a YouTube channel where you can learn all kinds of interesting things.
It's highly neglected though. I haven't done my yearly video yet, so
your annual.
I'm a year and a half behind of my yearly video. Hey, so
you got nothing but time. Wait till retirement or something. I don't know, whatever.
Retirement.
By then you might have a whole like how to play guitar series or something.
No, like up until like about 2 years ago, that was like my goal was like every year, okay, this year I'm going to really dedicate time and really start getting a lot of stuff on my YouTube and getting things out there. And in fact, I think the last time I did that was when I did do the airbrush series, and I was like, cool, I did 4 videos in like a month and a half. Yeah. I'm like, I'm flying. And then I haven't made a video since, like an actual like tutorial. Well, I mean, I've posted a few other things, but nothing like, you know, nothing major. So, yeah. So I guess I've just given up on YouTube stardom. So, That
You no
we'll
longer have the desire to be famous through YouTube. Yeah.
we'll let you have all the glory there, buddy, because your YouTube's doing great. So
Mine is doing great, but it's specifically sewing, and
that's great though.
it's fun. I was in a whatever. I don't want to talk about. This isn't about me. This whole show is about you.
Oh no. This is group therapy. So let's get it out. Let's get it out.
That's a good way of putting it. The ultimate cosplay group therapy podcast.
Like we're using the sake of the podcast
so much
to
better.
mask the fact that we need group therapy from each other.
Right.
because-
Or we all just need to like actually be around human beings and like,
Right.
not just our significant spouses.
Wait, is that
we live with
allowed?
or whatever. I want it to be allowed. I
Me
miss
too.
I
I
miss
got
the hugs.
I got my Fauci ouchie. I think we all got our Fauci ouchies.
Okay,
Yes,
you booked
I
a
did.
flight recently, didn't you?
I did.
Where are you going to be going?
I am going to be going to Dallas, Texas, and I'm going to find out whether or not Tock snores like Santa.
He's coming to visit me about a week
Woo!
before the contest.
Yeah.
And that's
Very nice.
to keep me from going insane, because I haven't seen another human
I'm going to
besides
be on
my
an
boss.
airplane like this.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, we'll wear full face guards, but he has his own guest room, so we don't have to find out who snores and who doesn't. Yeah. So Hoku's gonna be coming out here in less than a month, and you're gonna get to see.
Yeah, it's funny is the last place I traveled to pre-pandemic
Oh, wow.
was actually Dallas for AllCon, and then literally it got shut down because of the pandemic.
Yep.
So I flew home, and now I'm going straight back there when we're reasonably safe.
Yep.
Because I had my Fauci ouchie.
Yep. And
I love that name for the vaccine, by the way.
someone texted me that Cat texted me saying I'm getting my Fauci ouchie, and I was like,
You're like,
I
what?
assume that means vaccine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd never heard that, but I'm excited for her.
It's Dr. Fauci's ouchie.
Oh, you froze.
Oh,
but
no.
You froze, but you're smiling with the perfect smile.
I'm just gonna leave it.
Right?
You look
Just gonna leave it.
amazing.
I'm not gonna cover that up. We're just gonna leave that. So
Yeah, no, it's fine.
I want a
I'm just gonna
cardboard
leave it.
cutout of Hoku's
beautiful,
face
man.
looking like that in my house.
Science juice. Yeah, get your science juice. I got mine a
Science
couple
juice.
months ago.
What
I got
was-
mine a
what was
couple
the
months
last
ago.
con
So.
you went to, Eric? Was it because I saw you at BlizzCon?
That was the last con I went
Was
to.
that your last con? BlizzCon
Yeah,
2019.
19. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Yep.
Yep.
It's been a quiet time ever since.
That was a
So.
great kind of last con to go to, though, right?
Oh yeah, I love BlizzCon.
I mean,
It's so much
was,
fun.
That was a great year.
Yeah, it really was, and so many great people there. Amazing costumes. BlizzCon's just, I love the costuming
Right.
there. It's always just
It's nuts.
so mind blowing.
Do you have any? Some cons have announced for later this year already. Do you have any plans to go to any cons yet, or are you still kind of just playing it
For
slow?
this year?
Yeah, for this year.
Probably not.
Okay.
I don't know. It just, I guess we'll see where the world and the United States is with vaccinations in the next 3 or 4 months, So,
Well, I think I know C2E2 and I think Holiday Matsuri announced for December. I'm considering
Yeah.
it, but the one thing I'm really looking to capitalize on this year is now that a lot of people are vaccinated or will be soon, I can start planning trips to go visit, like Hoku's going to come visit me, and I can go out to Southern California, and I've been meaning to go up to Seattle Bill has asked me to shoot videos with him for a couple of years.
yeah.
So I might finally get to do that, or just go visit family and things like that. So hopefully, even if you don't go to cons, you might still be up to travel or.
Yeah. I think I'm probably okay with that. I'm just not sure about very large gatherings of people,
Would you ever come and stay at my home and shoot a video with me sometime?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Would you be
Yeah,
into that?
No doubt.
That
Oh yeah.
that would be
yeah,
fun.
Totally. Yeah, it'd be a blast.
Okay, good.
It'd be a blast. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll schedule a party around you visiting somehow.
Let's
then
do
you can
that.
see TNT's new warehouse, and
Yeah. Oh yeah.
we'll eat a bunch of tacos or something. Hoku, are you still with us, by the way?
I'm there for the tacos.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be awesome. We do have there's a small local con called King Con.
King Con, right.
Yeah, it used to be Renton City Comic Con, but now it's King Con. They rebranded because it's in King County.
Didn't they do a virtual contest or something last year?
Yeah, I think they transitioned to doing virtual last year, and then I think that's scheduled for October this year. They requested me to be to be like a judge or whatever, but I was like, I just don't think I want to do that. So I might, if it just depends on the feeling of the year and how things go.
Okay.
I may end up checking it out for a day or something because it's not like a huge con, but I just didn't want to
I got you. I feel lucky that you are, interested in being part of our show. You're being selective and you picked us.
My joke is I'm semi-retired, so
from what?
So, but exactly. that's why it's a joke.
Actually, okay. So you mentioned something earlier about you've never competed before, correct?
No. Well, so technically no. Well, I guess maybe technically yes. I'm not sure. So you decide. 1 year, that the King Loki costume that I was talking about. That I made for my daughter,
the one you made for your daughter.
She did enter a contest one time at Road City Comic Con the year that we made that. She did enter that. So did she? So is that yes or no?
Did she win anything?
Nah, we got skunked.
Then never mind. You didn't ever compete, so it doesn't count.
Yeah. So
if she had won something, I would have been like, yeah, you've competed it. But
do you know Jesse Loggers? Do you know Jesse?
Is that Linda's husband? That Jesse? Vampy's husband?
No. Jesse was what was the cosplay show that Yaya Han was on? Anyway. Way back, it was on
the Cosplay Melee, or was it Heroes of Cosplay? That one.
Heroes of Cosplay. Yeah. So Jesse lives down in Portland, and I've known him since. But he was one of the judges that year, and he did tell me that if he had a judge's choice, he would have picked the costume. But he didn't have a judge's choice; they just had the
right.
They just had like the first, second, third place. So, but anyway.
Well, still, I feel okay. So you never competed, but you've judged quite a bit, correct?
A bit. I mean, I haven't done a ton of judging, but I've done a bit of judging. So, mostly just when
I like judging.
Yes and no.
What do you like about it, and what do you hate about it? What is your cosplay turn-ons and turn-offs
we'll get to that.
For judging?
So, well, one, I just really enjoy staring at people and making them feel uncomfortable. It's kind of a hobby of mine. Right. So when you can do it with a critical judgment eye, then and make them a little nervous, it kind of sustains me.
Harrison talked a lot about that when he was on the podcast.
Oh yeah,
he loves making people feel uncomfortable.
That's just a line of BS. I'm just making stuff up. No, you know what I love about judging? I love how just like how really into it the contestants get. Like they're so proud and so excited to show you like the most minute little detail thing, right? And I love that. I love how, because I'm the same way. It's like when I do something, I want it to be like the best thing that I can make, and you get a chance to like, and you get a chance to like really show it off to somebody, and somebody that has a critical eye, not just, it's one thing when, just random congoers are like, oh, I love your costume. But if you have like a builder or a maker that you like look up to, and then you get to show them something and like, hey, check this out, and hopefully you get their seal of approval. I mean, that's a cool thing, right? I mean, that's just like being able to like have somebody like kind of check your quality kind of thing. I think that's cool.
We've gotten a lot of great feedback from people specifically about this contest this year, that a lot of people are entering because of the judges that we've got selected. Is people all over the world want our judging panel to see their work. And that's so exciting for all of us, because then we get to see like so submissions are opened on April 1st, by the way. And I think our first 7 submissions we got in were all from countries other than the United States.
That's so cool. I love that it's like attracting people from all over the world.
We've got in countries that we didn't have represented last year also. So this is quickly becoming like the Olympics of cosplay in a way, which is really fun. And by the way, Samir is here right now, who's watching from India, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So
that's so awesome.
We get to allow people to represent not just their favorite character, but also their country, and to, people are really excited that people like, you and Hoku get to review their work, which is really exciting. So what's the part of judging that you don't like?
It's just so stinking hard, right, man. It's just like, and you feel, it's like, you feel bad. You're like, oh, I have to pick something over something else. And there may not even be like a super great reason why I choose this one over this one. I mean, right. Sometimes it just comes down to preference, in all honesty, right.
Yeah.
Because if something's like competently made and they have very similar quality, then it's like, how do you judge those things against each other?
Yeah.
And that's, and I just find that difficult. It's like, it gives me a little bit of anxiety, so, but it's like a good anxiety, so.
Yeah, we had a lot of judges say similar things about that. I know the Egg Sisters talked about that a lot last year. And you were even talking about it earlier, just picking your Judge's Choice Award.
Yeah. It's hard. And that's the thing. It's just hard, and maybe one of the things I dislike about contests is that somebody has to lose, right?
Right.
Not everybody can win. Yeah. And with the quality of stuff that we get, it's like nobody really should lose. And so I just feel bad for the people that don't win, So, does that make sense?
It totally makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's the hard part. But being able to look at amazing work is always, a privilege really too, though. So,
well, something that I'm very proud of about this brand or this show or this, whatever you want to call it, the whole Ultimate Cosplay thing, is that, obviously, like, it's judged by a bunch of makers, which is excellent, but it's also, hosted by and completely, like, our committee is made up of makers, period. I don't know any other con that has a committee made up of makers that run a cosplay contest. So because of that, we think like cosplayers, we think like competitors, and we want to appreciate every person that enters, which is why last year we showed during the actual broadcast, every single person that entered was shown during the actual contest so that they got some airtime, and we get to do that again this year. So there might be a lot of people thinking, oh, I'm not going to win Best in Show, but hey, if I enter, I'm going to at least get to be seen during this show, which is pretty cool. And there's also the chance for people to get one of 17 different Judges' Choice Awards this year, which is a lot of awards.
There's probably going to be a lot of entries too, though. So I suppose that
we've already got quite a bit.
I'll be transparent. I think right now we have processed about 25 or 30 right now. And we're 10 days into submissions.
But that's surprising to me.
At the start.
It's surprising to me too,
because,
to be honest.
Because knowing the way deadlines are and the way builders build, and
we'll probably get at least a few hundred the last 48 hours.
most everybody, it's a hobby, so they're pushing the deadline, and there's that old thing of like, well, if you have a deadline on a certain date, it's going to get done on that date. Things rarely get done early, right? Rarely.
That's why the crunch timer on the website. So
total hats off to those 25 that have already entered. That means for somehow you're just like excellent at time management.
Or you had something that was already done or
you had something that was just raring and ready to go right in the perfect time frame, and then again, excellent time management. So either way.
And
Right.
I
we
will
appreciate it.
I will never forget entering Lionheart, Sammy and I, in this mad dash the morning of, because submissions closed at like, I think it was 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning the next day, like that day. For some reason, it was in the morning. And so like there were so many parts missing from Lionheart. We literally took like sewing pins and we just put foam to cover all of the holes and just
Yep, I remember
pictures.
the pictures
I had no
that
arms.
you submitted.
I was like T-Rex Lionheart.
Yep.
And like for some reason I still got in, and so it's just like, dude, I cannot imagine how many submissions we're gonna get like the last hour of submissions.
Oh yeah.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
I hope hopefully the website doesn't blow up.
Yeah, right.
No, I think it should
Website
be good.
crashes.
Oh, by the way, Eric actually he helped redesign part of the website, so thank you for that.
I just did a little minor tweaks.
Well, a lot of people here get to appreciate what you did to make it look even prettier. But yeah, submissions are open till the 30th, and hopefully there's still hundreds of you out there that are just sweating right now. That means we're putting on a successful show if you guys are genuinely anxious.
They are literally right now working on their costumes.
I hope so.
Listening to us going,
yeah,
maybe they'll extend the deadline. Not gonna happen.
No,
not gonna happen.
No.
Yeah, like do I let it? Because I'm controlling that. Do I let the submission form stay open for an extra 10 minutes?
Nope.
After midnight, or do I just lock it up?
Nope.
The second the bell strikes.
It is hands down. Everybody who's watching this, try your best to not submit an hour before submissions, because if you have a problem, the chances of you getting the help you need before submissions is small. We're going to be super busy. So get it in a week in advance, get it in at least a couple of days in advance. Try not to submit it same day.
Which Corlock Striker's asking which midnight? Which midnight?
Midnight meaning like the first second of May 2021 is when polls close.
But in which time zone?
It's all Central U.S. time. There is a countdown clock on the website.
Yeah.
So no matter where you are in the world, you know how many days, hours, minutes, and seconds till it closes.
So organized.
Right. So Hoku brought up one of our favorite questions that we like to ask.
I modified it. I wanted you to have it.
But no, I want to open it up just in general to cosplay or like con culture, whatever. But what are your biggest? Or go ahead, Hoku. You asked this this week.
What are your cosplay turn-ons and turn-offs? For example, my biggest turn-off is I hate crappy shoes. Hate them with a passion.
Oh, you mean like for yourself or other people's
anyone,
crappy shoes?
Whether it's a friend, a family, another cosplayer, somebody competing,
going to cons.
Like crappy shoes. Seeing people in pain to me is torture. I hate seeing people in pain. And shoes are a culprit. Big one.
Turn-offs and turn-ons. I don't know. I have to think about this.
Take as much time as you need.
We can also come back to it.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm kind of blanking right now.
Right.
So
That's
usually, I don't know if you've noticed, but I usually don't have problems with having things to say.
Is your seat shrinking? Is that throwing you off?
No, I'm just slouching.
No, he's slouching because you asked him a challenging question, so he just started.
That was my thinking. That was my thinking pose.
He's like, what do I talk about? Well, your thinking face is a very intimidating look too.
Gotta get the chin in there.
You look like Thanos right now.
Like a super villain.
You really do look like Thanos when you think that hard.
Oh yeah, well, it's one of my superpowers. I can turn myself purple. So
what is your superpower other than being purple? Do you have a superpower?
No, I don't. I don't have any hidden tricks or any. No.
I've recently discovered one.
I don't have any cool things that I can do. I don't have like any cool party tricks or anything.
I think I'm legitimately. I've been going on morning walks every morning to just like de-stress and feel good and get a little exercise, right?
Yeah.
And for some reason, squirrels love me. Like they just run up to me and they're like, "Feed me," and I'm like, "What's going on? Why is he here?"
Wow. You should watch Emperor's New Groove and learn some squirrel language. So
yeah.
I have seen Emperor's New Groove, but
because Kronk knows how to
clearly
talk to the
watch it again.
squirrels. So, Kronk knows how to talk to the squirrels. So, I mean,
Yeah.
Hoku
you might get
keeps
some tips.
Sending me videos of squirrels following him around.
It's bizarre though, right?
It is.
It's just they run up to me. I'm like, hi, I can't do anything. Don't attack me. The first time I thought they were going to attack me. But
Okay,
yeah.
I thought of a cosplay turnoff.
Okay.
Okay.
I hate thigh armor with a passion.
Can you be more specific?
Like wearing thigh armor.
Oh, okay.
It's
yeah,
like
okay. I was gonna
the
say,
thigh
if you
is
see
like the
someone at a
worst.
con who's wearing thigh armor, are you like, fuck that person?
No.
for wearing
Like
thigh armor?
wearing thigh armor, because there's no like really good way to attach it without having, especially thigh armor where it's like, hey, it's magic thigh armor. It doesn't have any straps.
Okay.
Right. Because like you get in video games and stuff,
Yeah.
you know, where
Things don't
and
make sense.
and thighs are like upside down tapered cones, right? And there's just like no way to really attach the stuff, right? Unless you have it hanging off a belt or something. And the only reason I say that is because the only full armor costume I have is a gender bent Calhoun from Wreck-It Ralph, and I hated the thigh armor on that. It drove me insane. So, but I had really comfortable shoes.
So is it
so Chad would be okay with it.
right?
Heck yes, I would be.
That's the first we've heard that kind of a turnoff. But
Yeah.
Dude, I feel
there
you.
is no
Lich
wrong
King's
answer.
got thigh
Well,
armor.
and literally it was magical thigh armor that had no attachments.
Okay.
Right. So I tried like 15 different ways to attach armor to my thighs and have it stay. And it's just like, it just does, no matter what you do.
It sounds like
gravity
you're really
exists.
angry with the concept artist that designed the armor for not having
Yeah.
a proper method of attaching it.
A funny story. I actually somehow ended up contacting him, right?
The guy
Well, I don't know if
that
it's funny. Yeah. And now I can't even remember how I ended up. Somehow I ended up
Were you just
with like his.
bitching on Twitter about it at him or
No,
something?
I like ended up with his email address or something. I honestly, I am having a hard time remembering how this happened, but I didn't.
Bizarre.
I know it really is, but I didn't complain. I didn't complain about the thigh armor, but there was also this like weird magical armor on her shoulders, and in all the reference I had, and even like looking at all of the stuff in the movie, I could not find like a good screen grab of it, right? And somehow I don't know if I knew somebody that knew somebody or whatever, but I actually ended up contacting the dude that was. I wish I remembered his name. That was the concept artist for that character. And I'm like, hey, can you just like send me like what you got on this part of the armor or whatever? And he's like, that's a really weird request. No.
Wow, so he just turned you down.
Yeah.
Like you were building a cosplay.
He's like, well, actually, he was more like, well, dude, I wish I could help you, but that's all Disney's IP, and
right.
I can't share it with you, you know?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, can you at least tell me how this magic stuff, you know, cause it was like somehow the shoulder things, how they lay or something. And I just could not wrap my mind around it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, could you maybe explain to me how this certain thing intersects? And he's like, dude, it's magic armor. I can't, because it doesn't exist in the real world.
Yeah.
That's one of the challenges of cosplayers is that we have to just make that work and have it look somewhat like reference.
But I just thought it was completely hilarious that I was able to talk to the guy that actually designed it.
That is
It
funny.
was just like,
I was hoping
and
to
then
hear
like
you just yelled at him, but that's not the case.
no, I you know me. I'm not.
You're too
I'm
much
not
of a
gonna do
sweetheart
that to
to do that.
somebody.
So
I'm not gonna
what
do
about
that to somebody,
turn-ons?
but-
What gets you going? What's something that just makes your blood pump when you're at a
Oh
con?
man, like a really, just like a really, really
Oh, yeah.
cool, like larger than life,
Okay.
I want to say balls to the wall kind of costume, you know,
Okay.
where you're just like somebody just, I mean, I guess, you know, Hoku's a good example, you know, somebody just is like, I'm going to make this big, huge thing. And I'm going to show up at a con where there's thousands of people. There's nowhere to go in this thing. I'm just going to make it and show up and and people are going to just be like, holy crap, where did this come from?
Right.
You know, I love that. I because I'm just too much of a wimp to ever want to take that on, you know, like, and so when people do
you
huge,
also just naturally come as larger than life every time you work.
Well,
like Calhoun is larger than life. Thanks.
Well, I appreciate that. But yeah, just like big, huge, larger than life costumes, you know, that where people are just like, you know, and some people like they dedicate like 2 years of their life to this thing, you know, and they're just like, I am going to make this thing and I'm going to make it work and I'm going to show up and people are just going to be like, holy crap. And that's cool. I just love that. I love the focus and intensity it takes for somebody to just be like, that's a challenge I am going to take on in my life, you know, because that's a huge undertaking. Yeah. Huge. And there's hundreds of people a year that want to do that, you know?
Yeah.
And I just think that's amazing. And I love larger than life costumes because they give us something that we don't normally have in the real world, you know, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah. I didn't know that. I didn't know that you were a big fan of larger than life costumes. That's cool.
Yeah, I think it's mostly just jealous because I'm too lazy to build my own.
I kind of feel the same way because I really admire the engineering behind it because it's not just that it's something really tall. It's that there's so much more than just what you see underneath everything.
Yeah, there's so much work. And I mean, and this is like, you know, this isn't just because I'm talking with Chad, but one of my favorite con things I ever did was the year that Chad had Lionheart and the Egg Sisters had Blackheart.
Yeah.
At BlizzCon.
Oh, they were both at BlizzCon together one year.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
We had 4 Reinhardts.
Yeah,
wow.
And it's like, and I was kind of bouncing between the two of them, being like an honorary handler because they were just so unwieldy of costumes, you know.
That's cool.
And I just had so much fun just hanging out with them and watching people
so much fun.
react to those costumes, you know, because both of those costumes were so cool. It's just so cool. And the look on people's faces, especially like kids, when you see a costume like that big walk around a corner and they're just like, is this real? Yeah. Am I like in a parallel universe? You know, it was just awesome. That's like one of my best times at a con was guest handling for those two amazing
dude,
larger than life
you
costumes.
Are definitely a superstar handler. That's for sure. You know, I have so many good emotions going through me right now just because you brought that time up and those memories. And you know, I have to say one thing that I'm really glad that I did on that costume was I chose the Reinhardt where his head was visible.
Right.
And so because that was visible, I got to be the character. I got to interact with people, you know, and I've always got this big old giant grin on my face when I'm in that costume. I can't be tough at all. Right. But dude, it's so much fun, you know what? And so it's like, thank you for helping that day. That was awesome.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad you got to see the inner workings because that costume's got so many damn like moving parts. It's not even funny.
And then like a lot of it's like just a privilege to be able to like kind of hang out and like, hey, okay, help me get this thing on. And you know, me and Sammy and I can't remember who else was there. Your other friend, I don't remember his name, but probably Jason. Yeah, and we're all just like, okay, and you're like trying to direct us, and we're like, okay, well this goes here. No, we need this other one first. It's like this, you know, and it's a finished costume, and it's still like a total jigsaw puzzle, right?
But it does get put on in like 5 minutes. It's
but it was just like,
okay, you're steady. I think plug a couple things in, done. Right?
Yeah.
Oh man, did you know that whole costume was actually the only reason I took that costume on, and the only reason I was able to find the motivation for it was because it was the graduation present to myself. I was graduating college and I was like, I'm going to build myself a costume. That was my first cosplay.
Yeah.
So it was, you know, I'd done all of these other projects just like you. I grew up with, you know, doing woodworking and automotive stuff and all that different process. And so I had a lot of the production fabrication stuff, but then the like real enjoyment of being a nerd, that Reinhardt did it for me. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was just a fun year. And there was, and then the other Reinhardts that were there too were awesome.
Plus we had the voice actor too.
Oh yeah. I have a couple selfies with him. That was really fun. It's a good time. Good time. So yeah, there you go. I love the larger than life stuff. It's just cool.
Dude, you could make such a big larger than life costume.
Yeah, but space,
we should put
man.
you and Reinhardt sometime.
You have to have so much space. So much space. Well,
Right.
Courtney at Egg Sister, she's always trying to give me Blackheart. She's like, you want him, right?
I stayed in Courtney's, workshop apartment type thing, and it takes up a lot of space in her home.
Yeah.
And
She's always like, you can have it. You can take it home.
Dude, that costume, their Reinhardt is my favorite. It turned out so good.
yeah.
And it was their build was what literally kept me going, because building that costume was a nightmare, right? And so like I this is before I'd even met them or anything, right? And so I'm like watching them and like seeing how they're building stuff and posting. I'm just like, oh, cool, that'll work. Yeah, they inspired me so much. So
yeah, they were definitely they still are inspiring. I love those two to death. So I love all the work that they do. So, and they're just awesome people. Cool. Should I answer this question?
I'm just asking people in chat. Start feeding me questions for me to ask Eric, because I'm going to make notes of them, and then because we've been going at it here for about an hour and 40 minutes.
Wow.
So I want to get to. That's how fast time is flying by with you here.
It does. I mean, I miss, because I used to have my podcast and I miss podcasting, and it's fun just to hang out and talk with people and answer questions and stuff. So
we should just have you on every other week then.
Especially when there's good company, so.
Yep. If you want to answer that question now, Athel Artistry said, what is your dream larger than life build specifically?
I have two. One is the loader, the caterpillar loader from Aliens. I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I think it has this, it's like the forklift thing, like the forklift thing that Sigourney Weaver has. I'm a huge Aliens nerd. I love Aliens so much. So one of those loaders, that would just be amazing. The other is big Pacific Rim fan.
Cool.
Like a Jaeger, but like a really, really big Jaeger. Not like an 8-foot Jaeger, but like a 12, 14-foot Jaeger, right? Like
it's literally twice as tall as you are.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, just like larger than life times 2, right?
Okay.
Like larger than life, like bigger than anybody's ever made one. Cause I've seen some really good ones made, but they're usually about 8 foot, 9 foot tall,
right.
But anyway, so.
So basically Lionheart basically sitting on Blackheart's shoulders is what
you basically, right.
Just giving a piggyback ride to
basically just so ridiculously large that it's just like, how is this even possible kind of, but it would have to, I mean, the thing is it would have to move. It wouldn't just be a static thing. Right. So that would just be some crazy engineering that it's way beyond me. So, but infinite time, money, and resources. That's what it would be.
Okay. So actually going along with that, just,
power loader. Yeah. That's what it's called. The power loader,
or your,
also
double larger than life, Pacific Rim.
Yeah, Jaeger.
Same person, Athel Artistry, asks, what would be your dream photo shoot location? So I'm imagining 14-foot tall Pacific Rim Coregeek, standing on like Mount Cook, New Zealand, or something like that. Or where would you be?
New Zealand, definitely. Or maybe Germany. There's some really pretty areas of Germany too. Basically anywhere in the world that's beautiful. So.
A really beautiful place is Iceland.
Beautiful place. I have a coworker that goes there like twice a year, and he's always bringing back amazing photographs. So it's like one of those places where you just point a camera. It doesn't matter where you point it, and it's an amazing photograph, right?
And you're like, that's cool.
And he's like, I did. This was just a quick shot. We were just walking by
Yeah.
and I just took, you're like,
Yeah.
Someone
I like
said-
Corlac says larger than life Jaeger on the moon.
Yeah.
on the moon. Yes.
I like
yes.
that a lot.
That funny enough, when the first thing that came to mind, because I've been watching the Apple TV Plus series, For All Mankind, which deals with the space program and stuff, like in an alternate universe. And funny enough, the very first thing that came to mind was the moon. So even though I didn't say that,
I mean, maybe
But
we
anyway.
could start a petition or like
I didn't know if that was too
GoFundMe.
silly. A GoFundMe,
You-
cosplay on the moon.
Wow.
Well, I bet you if we had enough people, Elon Musk might fly your costume and just plant it on the moon.
Wow.
Maybe. So yeah.
Yeah, we could just charter a shuttle to the moon for a quick photo shoot. Imagine being strapped into a shuttle wearing your cosplay or whatever. Okay, what a dumb thought I just had there.
As it could work.
Yep.
So,
But okay, so we're not getting too many questions here. I think probably because we covered
That's fine.
so much.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but eventually the world will return to normal, and I hope and I love that you're making guitars right now, but I hope that at some point you get excited enough to go to a con and you want to make something new, right? Because a lot of us haven't had that privilege for over a year now.
yeah. Yeah.
So I hope.
Yeah. I have a Mando kit that's all printed, but I haven't done anything with yet.
Okay.
Other than I did do a golden Mando bucket.
Hmm.
So, which looks pretty cool. Yes.
I have a proposition for you, Eric.
What's that?
So you really like BlizzCon, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been trying to find the perfect person to do a costume group with. One
Oh,
person.
really? Yeah.
So in Warcraft, there is a two-headed ogre named Cho'Gall, and one head has two eyes and one head has one eye.
Yeah.
I see where this is going.
You want to be Cho'Gall with me some year?
I'd definitely consider it. I definitely would.
Because that would be a
Definitely
larger
would.
than life 2-person costume. Where you'd be, God, that's ridiculous.
Attached to Chad for multiple hours
Right,
a day.
inside of a
Hmm.
Yeah, but
giant foam.
it would be glorious.
Right.
We would
I just have to warn
sweat
you,
so
I'm
much together.
a really sweaty person to begin with. So.
Dude, I have supremely dry skin, so it'll probably moisturize me. I'll feel great.
You both have enormous heads, so at least proportionally would look similar to each other, which is great.
I know. Plus, our heads will be like 5 inches away from each other.
Yeah.
And then we'll put him on my left side so I can't even see him.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it could happen. It could happen, definitely.
Actually, so you love BlizzCon. I'm curious. Are you a gamer, Eric? Do you play games?
No, I'm not a gamer.
Some people aren't. Like,
He plays the game of life.
right.
I know. I'm laughing because it's weird. I love BlizzCon, but I'm not a gamer.
Okay.
I love like the artistry of Blizzard's stuff.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, the design work. Yeah.
And it just happens to be, like a lot of friends that do cosplay and stuff, they're really into Blizzard. And over the years, I've just kind of have an affinity for Blizzard like art, I guess. So,
It's
but yeah,
got a very
I've
distinct
never,
personality, kind of between all of its IPs. So
yeah. Well, and then, you have like, and you go to BlizzCon and there's like the Steve Wang statues,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
that they
Oh,
commission
yeah.
for like $500,000
each one
and
is
things,
like $250,000. Yeah.
Yeah, or however many, because Blizzard will spend some crazy amount of money on art,
Mhm.
right? And it's like its own gallery kind of thing, and I love that aesthetic, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but I've never ever claimed to be a gamer. So
Okay.
yeah. And one cool thing though, the year I worked with Alicia, who goes by Vert Vixen, who's since transitioned to being a wrestler, hasn't been doing cosplay as much. When BlizzCon did their like cosplay book,
Oh yeah.
one of her photos. In fact, that it's a photo that's on my wall, right Oh, my camera's backwards. Anyway, see those photos back there? Anyway, the one on the bottom, that's the photo that's in the book.
Excuse me while I look at my
and so-
BlizzCon
book right behind
photo
my green
book.
screen.
What page are you on,
Right.
sir?
I don't know because I don't have the
Think
book.
about this book.
Yeah, the Blizzard
I
cosplay
think I have an
book.
extra one if you want it.
Oh, dude, that would be amazing. Yes,
I was
would-
at BlizzCon with you guys
I
last
will.
year, the last one they had, and some drunk
even
guy.
if I
gave me his
don't
book.
have an extra, I can probably get you an extra.
Right.
Okay, that's I will send you money.
Yeah,
and
'cause
treat-
I
and money and
helped-
treats. So
No, I'll just give it to you, and I'll sleep on your couch sometime.
Yep.
all right. So anyway, I built she did a lot of 3D modeling and stuff, and I built the Frostmourne sword for her.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I
and that
remember
was
that.
and as like a fan of their art and stuff, it was just like a really cool honor to have my project with her. And she looked amazing because she did an amazing job on
everything
the
looked
costume.
amazing from the
Yeah.
that was yeah.
And I did several Blizzard related things with her. So, but yeah, so that was just a cool thing to be like, hey, I've been a fan of their art for a long time, and I've gone to BlizzCon a few times and stuff. And when that got in, I was just like, that's just cool, man. It's cool to have stuff like that,
Yeah,
happen.
we
So-
competed with her.
I was going to
Eric.
say I feel
at
Yeah.
lucky
the first
that I got
TwitchCon.
to compete alongside her and Hoku in the first
Yeah.
TwitchCon cosplay contest before she retired from cosplay and went to wrestling.
Yeah. And then did she take number 2? Was that the year she was the second place?
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
Alpaca Ash.
Yeah, with Shard. I think it was Shard from Sideshow.
Yep.
Yes.
She
Yes.
was
Shard? Is that
it was
is that the
funny
right
because she
character?
looked so intimidating backstage.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
went to talk to her and she was so friendly.
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
oh yeah, she's super super nice.
But that was the first time
So-
I'd ever competed. I was pretty new to the whole cosplay
Yeah.
scene, and everyone I met was always so nice, whether it was in a competition or just at a con, and that's when I really fell in love with just the whole culture.
Yeah.
Someone in chat asks, Corlock Striker asks, what is Coregeek's drink of choice? Which is funny because the last time I saw you was at that bar in Long Beach.
Oh right.
Whatever that place was called on the beach.
Ballast Point.
Oh, Ballast Point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a sweatshirt. I have a sweatshirt I bought from there from that night.
Yeah.
I
That
wear it
was
all
a
the time.
Good night.
Yep.
Oh, that was such a fun night. And that's such a great place. I love that
Yeah.
place.
Yep.
What would be your drink of choice? Since we're talking about
I'm not a big drinker, so I like I do have a beer every once in a while. I don't like IPAs though.
Stinky armpits.
Yeah. Egg Sisters will fight you to their death over
yeah.
IPAs because they love IPAs. But I like a Hefeweizen, something light and fruity.
it's funny.
I'll
The first time I met
have
the
a rum.
Sisters, they said,
I'll have a rum and Coke every once in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a huge drinker. So
"Oh, I remember hanging out at whatever hotel at BlizzCon. You'd had a few drinks that particular night, or you were just in a goofy mood because that was the night you stole that
fanny
fanny
pack.
pack, and you put a Tock custom sticker on your zipper, and
I don't remember any of that.
I've got pictures of all. It's actually on my website.
I don't know if that was really. That might have been my evil twin. So I'm not. I'm not sure what happened there.
So actually, you're a lot like I am because I don't drink at cons at all, but I can still party and laugh my ass off. And I think you were giving me a piggyback ride at that last bar in Long Beach for probably too long for two grown heterosexual men.
Probably there was some shenanigans.
Yeah, but that's the whole fun.
It was
going to cons.
But it was a blast. But we had a blast. It was so much fun.
That
so
was
much
Well,
fun.
I mean, it's interesting because I don't think any of us here actually drink much or at all. And I have just as much fun at conventions completely sober as I ever did when I was
Right.
consuming alcohol. I get so excited seeing the costumes. That is so much what does it for me at conventions. I don't really care too much about panels unless I'm on them because I really like the communication. But I also genuinely could just sit there and look at costumes all day, and that keeps me happy.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm the same way. Because I grew up in like a non-alcoholic family, So I mean,
Same.
a lot of families have like alcohol is just kind of a family thing, right?
Sure.
And that there's alcohol at family gatherings and at Christmas time, and I grew up in a very kind of conservative non-alcoholic family, so it just was never really. I was just never really around it.
Yeah. Same for me. Same for me.
And I don't. It's not that I don't appreciate a decent drink, because I'll have a martini or something every once in a while, or I really like margaritas. Margaritas are tasty. But I only ever just,
in Vegas.
yeah, exactly. But but it's usually just, I have one and that's it,
Yeah.
I'm eating dinner, I have a margarita and that's it.
Yeah.
So somebody asked if I would brew my own if I had the opportunity. Brewing beer, that would be okay. I mean, it might be kind of fun. I actually am more interested in roasting my own coffee. I really love coffee. And for years I've wanted to like do my own coffee, but I just haven't. That's on my, like, once I get the guitar thing down, I might buy a coffee roaster.
That's a really cool idea. Oh,
and
froze, but
and maybe learn to roast some coffee and do some Coregeek coffee or something. I don't know.
Actually, funny enough, your logo would make a great like coffee bean brand logo. Like that would
thanks.
look great
I appreciate that
on a bag of coffee beans.
Well, I'll have to give it a shot. I'll just change it to Coregeek coffee.
That could be like the coffee for cosplayers, and that could be your
maybe
whole branding campaign right there.
Yeah. How do we lose chat again? What happened there?
Chad, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. My my cam
okay.
link keeps overheating.
Oh,
The little 4K guy that I know you've got one as well, Chris. So I'm just shut it off for a second.
That's fine.
Cool.
I'm glad that you can still participate. But yeah, we're coming up on like 2 hours, and like it wouldn't be hard for us to keep this going forever.
No, it wouldn't.
But I think we should probably limit ourselves, because we don't want to give away all your secrets. So actually, but before we wrap up, I just wanted to ask, what are you looking forward to for the contest specifically this year?
I'm looking forward. It was such a great community like thing last year. Yeah. It just seemed like it was just a thing that showed up just at the right time, and I kind of feel like the community needs that again. Yeah. And I'm excited for people to be excited about about making things again and having some goals. And since there hasn't been cons to have goals for, and really just to see cool stuff that people make again, cause I've noticed a lot of the creatives that I follow that do cosplay, really haven't been building, and I'm one of those people too, and see a lot of reposts of things that are from the past and things. And I just feel like there's like this lull of creatives doing work because a lot of the cons really push that a lot. And so it'll just be really cool to see some new and exciting stuff that people are working on. And that always gets me going as a creative,
I'm really happy you said both of those things.
Hyped and excited for things to come, and hopefully for in-person conventions again. If they don't happen this year, I think if things go well, definitely next year. So
this
whole
event is really a love letter to all the cosplayers around the world. I don't take credit for it or anything, but I'm just so proud or happy to be part of such a great international event that is getting people excited about making something, or at least just watching other people's
that's the thing.
builds.
I mean, even just the amount of viewers that participated last year was incredible, and I love the fact that it's a worldwide thing. I just think that's the coolest thing, right? I just love that anybody anywhere in the world, if they basically have a computer and can build something, can be a part of this, and I love how that makes our world so much smaller in a way,
in a really positive way.
Yeah, really a very, very positive way, So I just cannot be more excited to participate and, and be in that regard, and just see what people come up with,
Yeah.
I'm always just so blown away by the talent and skill that gets put on display. It's just, it's exciting.
It is. Something else that like should be mentioned is like I personally have made a lot of new friends because of the show we did last year, and I know a lot of other people around the world have met new friends because of the show we did last year, and they're in Discord servers, or they've whatever, no matter where they live in the world, like friendships were made during that, and that gets to happen again. Actually, it's been happening since we have people, in our Discord server that are meeting each other and sharing their work. But that's so powerful that we get to be part of something like that.
It is, and especially in times where I mean, it's hard. It's just hard for everybody, all around the world, and being able to bring some joy and some love to others, and being able to share that with each other is, I mean, maybe it's corny, but it's kind of special,
It's very special.
I think that's like, the world needs more of that, It just really does. So
Hoku, do you have anything in particular you're looking forward to this year?
Is he still there? Did we lose him completely?
I think he's might not be here.
Bummer.
But yeah, we might have to just like wrap this up without him.
I guess so.
Which is okay. But yeah, for the sake of the podcast recording, I think we're gonna say our farewells. But Eric, thank you so much. Is there anything? We always ask, where can people find you and social media and things like that?
I'm mostly active on Instagram, Coregeek. You can find me on Instagram.
Okay.
I have a website, coregeek.net, but I haven't updated it in like a year and a half. So, but if you ever need to get a hold of me, you can get through my website or through Instagram. I have an old Facebook page, but I quit Facebook about 2 years ago. And even though I requested they delete my page, it still exists.
Oh, I tagged you today on it.
It exists, and I have no control over it. I have no way of.
You have like 11,000 followers on Facebook too.
Yeah, and that's from like 2 years ago. So, or 2.5 years ago.
Chad, can you hear us?
I'm not active on Facebook at all.
Gotcha.
So
look up Coregeek on Instagram, which just like it's spelled.
Yeah.
Hoku,
and
can you speak?
Coregeek, not Corgi on Twitter, but
right.
Twitter's more of just so I can hang out with. There's a lot of 3D people.
Okay.
That like 3D modelers and printers, people that they seem to use Twitter a lot. So I'm mostly on there, so I can keep a little pulse on what's going on in the 3D modeling community.
Dude, there's so much cool stuff going on with 3D modeling now.
Yeah. Because
awesome.
I'm not a modeler, but I have printers, so I kind of have a little bit of an interest in that. But
yeah.
Hey, I just want to say hey to my buddy Mike, who just said hey, Eric. So
nice.
Anyway. Yeah.
And one last question before you go: would you fly out to Dallas and hang out with me at some point this year?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that was
absolutely
easy. Done.
Yeah. Totally.
I'm just
so
Totally.
I wanted to make sure I actually asked one question as well before we
good.
We parted ways. Do you have any questions for us?
Questions for you guys?
Yeah, regarding the life contest.
Yeah, how you doing? Are you feeling overwhelmed about this thing, or is it?
Hell yeah!
Is it smoothing out pretty well?
I
know you guys have been working your butts off, so it's.
I think I speak for us all involved with Ultimate Cosplays. We want it to be the absolute best that it can be for everybody.
We do,
and we're doing our damned hard. We're trying our damned hardest to make sure that it is as good as last year was, and has the opportunity to be even better. But so much of it really is about the community engagement, community interaction, and involvement. So the community is the one that really makes the show great. We just kind of start it, and that's me looking stupid. So my camera is clearly
Your camera is just
crazy.
not
Chris,
having it.
We'll
Chris,
get
how are you doing, buddy?
we'll get it worked out by the next one. But yeah, well said, Chad. And I don't know how. I could spend a long time answering that question, but I'm not going to. I'm doing the best I
know
can.
It takes a lot of energy
Right.
and a lot of time.
Well, my whole thing is just that I need to be around good people right now, and I don't have that privilege. And so anyway, like my brother's coming out next week to visit me, and Chad's flying out right before the show to make sure that I'm like not completely insane before the show, which is nice. My boss Tony is the only person I get to see in person, and she gives me hugs to keep me from going absolutely bonkers. So without her, I would be like just a total waste. So thank you so much for that. But anyway, Eric, thank you so much for doing the show with us this week. This was awesome.
Anytime.
Oh, for sure.
I love the chat. So,
well,
you know.
The chat loves you and the camera loves you.
It's in my wheelhouse.
You look just brilliant. Hoku, any final thoughts before we shut her down?
Oh no, man, I'm good. Thank you so much to everybody who's been on here watching. I had a blast as always. And Eric, Chris, both, I love you so very much. I'm sorry my camera's been stupid, but I'll buy a new thing literally after this podcast is over.
Oh, it's all good. And audio-wise, it won't even matter.
I mean, it wouldn't be podcast.
For what it's worth.
It wouldn't be streaming or podcasting without some kind of technical difficulties, right? I mean, it just comes with the territory.
During the actual contest too, because people think it's like some company is professionally running it, but it's literally just me.
Yeah.
Whatever, it'll be fine. So anyway, thank you guys all for watching. We are going to end the recording session of the podcast, and we will see you next week with our guest. Hold on, is Zach Fisher is going to be
Zach Fisher,
another
Fisher awesome dude.
Next week.
That'll be a fun one.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, anyway, thank you all for watching, and we will see you next week with Zach Fisher.
I'm waving. Bye.
Bye.